Morning everybody, Reggie Time here with probably the last of the week of my trial videos where I'm trying to make videos with different formats. I've done a pre-recorded 4-tabling video, I've done a pre-recorded 2-tabling video, I think I've done a 4-tabling live video, and now I'm going to do a 2-tabling live video just to try and gauge what works best. The problem I have with doing live videos is that sometimes when we're 2-tabling, a game can break, and then it's a matter of the video not looking too good while you're trying to sub new tables in, but I've got a few ideas how we can get around that. Here I didn't expect this guy to fold to any C-bets, any 3-bets, so it was for value. I think Ace-King plays quite nicely as a check call here. I don't really see much point in C-betting. Of course, if he has a hand like 8-7, he's never going to bluff with. It's probably in our interest to make him fold that, but that said, I don't think it's going to be folding too often. We're going to end up bloating a pot that he's probably just going to be able to take us off later on with aggression, because we can't just like triple barrel off here. When we hit the ace on the river, I think we absolutely just go for value. What am I going to do if he raises? I'm going to go big for value, and I'm going to fold if he raises me. That is my plan here. On table 1 here, C-bet my 8s with thin value. Definitely get caught by ace high, some worse pocket pairs. This isn't the play I'm really looking to play pots with. When I'm usually 2-tabling, I'm usually doing an awful lot of good table selecting. As you can see on my tables here, I have a 42 VPIP player, I have a 51 VPIP player, I have a 62 VPIP player. These are the guys I'm going to be looking to play pots with most of the time. Against these other guys, the more reggish type players, I'm not going to be going out of my way to tangle with them. If I have a situation that means I need to tangle with them, obviously I have no issue doing that, but I don't go out of my way. Whereas I go out of my way to isolate players like Briefman, Oliver and Maryland, I won't go out of my way to mess around with regulars. I know a lot of players like to do that. They like to create these really aggressive dynamics with other regulars. I just don't think it's necessary. Poker for me is about trying to play as many pots with bad players as we can, and then if regulars get in the way, then we deal with that if and when it happens. I don't go out of my way to get in regulars' faces, and I don't particularly like games where regulars are going out of the way to get in my face, because I mean, if we're all doing the right things at tables with us, these fishy players, in my opinion, regulars just massively bloating pots against each other and constantly blowing the weak players out of pots. It's not the way to get the job done, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but if I'm playing poker with these guys here, I want to see flops with these guys here. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to see flops with these guys and then, make a strong hand and just stack them off. If we're constantly, he limits, he isolates, I 3-bet because I know he's isolating. Like, this guy falls and me and him just end up in a massive, and excuse the language, pissing contest with each other, while the fish are just generally just sitting out and just, constantly getting blown out of the pot. And I think the regular wars are a necessary evil if you're playing on tougher sites or if you're playing speed poker, because you're just playing so many more hands with regulars than you are fish. But at tables where there are fish, what I need to try and do, or what I like to try and do in my games, is to try and recreate or get close to recreating a live poker experience, which is bad loose passive players or bad loose aggressive players. I don't really care, but Basically, bad loose players and get to flops with them. See flops with them, take the money. If regulars get in the way, then we deal with them based on the situation and our hand strength, not just for the sake of getting in the way of regulars and making life difficult for regulars. Of course, we need to protect ourselves, but that's as far as it goes with me. The rest of the time, I'd much rather spend my time looking for spots to take flops with bad players. I'm just going to fold the ace-10 suited here. I think it's really close. I think it's a lot closer than we first think. This guy can have a lot of pocket pairs in his range. He can have a lot of king-high type stuff. But I just don't know enough about him yet. He seems bad, but I think he can do a lot better than just calling 50 blinds off with ace-10 suited against him. I think my calling range there would probably be pocket sevens plus and ace queen plus. Ace 10 just falls out of it. But it's encouraging that he's doing that, because it may be an indication that he's starting to get a little bit bored or frustrated. I mean, the guy's clearly not a particularly good player anyway, so it's almost inevitable he's going to make a mistake at some point. But when you see players like that starting to just mash the overbet, 3-bet shove button pre-flop, it's a good indication usually that they're ready to go off. I think what I'd like to see happen here is him to go off and double through one of these guys with some kind of silly hand, because two things will happen then. One, he'll be a lot deeper stacked, which is obviously really good for us. And number two, he's much less likely to continue with his all-in pre-flop strategy, which, even though it's obviously really stupid and negative EV, it's probably better for him that he did that with his entire range than constantly trying to take flops against players that are much, much better than him. The setup that Fish should really like best is all in pre-flop, because they just can't get outplayed anywhere near as much in them situations. I'm going to defend the Jack Queen here versus the min raise. Not in love with it. I think this guy's probably pretty good, but I think Jack Queen's just way too strong. King 5 suited is not normally a hand I defend, but because this guy's in the pot, I want to be in the pot too, so I'm prepared to make quite a few loose defends just to see flops with this guy. Yeah, I'm going to lose most of the time. Most of the time I'm going to check fold, but my mission is to play as many pots with this guy as I can, just to give myself the best chance of being the guy that stacks him. So that means making some questionable calls in or out of position to play pots with him. That's exactly what I'm prepared to do, and you should be too. Our skill advantage over this guy is such that we can afford to give up positional advantage and card advantage a lot of the time. I'm just going to fold the 10-8 off here. This person, this lovely girl, who I'm assuming probably isn't a girl. It's probably some hairy-ass Romanian guy. But who knows? That could be very sexist to me there. Either way, they don't look as if they've been getting out of line just yet. They're shaping up just to be a pretty standard tag sort of player. And without reads, I really don't want to be going out of my way to play too many pots with like weak offsuit cards against them. I'm going to defend the Jack 10 suited here. A lot of players would 3-bet here, but I just want this guy in the pot. I really want this guy in the pot, so I'm just going to call. I'm just going to let this guy come along for the ride. And yeah, he's jammed again. Unfortunately, we're going to have to fold again. Really hope this guy folds. Really hope Stopper folds here, and he does, which at least it means the guy's still at the table. Maryland is still at the table. You need to stop saying the guy. You need to be more descriptive than that. unfortunately, Olivoy, whatever, however you pronounce it, Oivovoy, has a limp fold range on the button, which is a bit unfortunate because I didn't expect him to have one. This guy's looking like he's ready. It looks like he's probably going to lose all his money here. 8, 9, 10. Nope, no good. So this table will probably break in a minute. If it does, I will probably quickly pause the video whilst I try and get another table in, because I don't think it'll be particularly aesthetically pleasing if I were to have a big gap on this side of my table and then pull the lobby up, because the 8 and 8 lobby unfortunately is you can't resize it, and it just looks really hideous. But as you can see, this table is definitely going to break. I have no interest in remaining playing with these three guys. I'm going to sit out, I'm going to play this Queen Jack hand, and then I shall pause the video whilst I bring another table in. We're in 3-bet here with the Queen Jack, so I'm going to fold and I'll pause the video. I'll be back soon. So here we are back again. This is a table that I just started myself. So we'll talk about that in a minute, about game creation. Just play this hand first on the left hand table, on table 1. I could have squeezed there. But again, I think I prefer to keep the pot small against someone who looks like they're quite bad, quite passive. No reason to blow up the pot against him. And yeah, with this guy, c-bets this dry board, we have absolutely no equity. Apart from against his absolute air balls, but I doubt he has too many of them with Oivovoy being in the pot. So we just let it go. It's really not a problem. Not a big deal at all. I'm hoping that on table 2 this Angelos 88 is going to be a weak player. He opened the first hand of heads up for 4x. Then he's min-raised since then. So he doesn't seem to have on early impressions would make it looks like he doesn't have much of an open range sizing strategy, and I think there's every chance the guy could have some kind of sizing tell. So I look forward to exploring that idea more. But just to touch on game creation, it's really, if you want to be in a good game of poker, usually the best way to do that is to start your own games. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with searching the lobby for bad players and trying to find them. I mean, I do that too. But at times where the tables look pretty locked down and there's big waiting lists for tables that do have fish on, and no empty seats with tables with fish on, which is usually the way you'll find it in poker these days. Starting your own games is absolutely the best way to go about getting action, getting some volume in, if you are a relatively low volume player. I think we've talked about that in previous videos, but I will talk about it again in this video. I didn't c-bet this king high dry board here because this guy has an absurdly low fold to c-bet. I'm giving up a lot against him here, I guess, because there's probably are some things he should be folding. But until I see that he is capable of folding, there's just no way I'm going to be firing out any c-bet bluffs that don't have much chance of winning once we get caught. That's not going to be my plan against him. We're going to 3-bet the ace king here for pure value. This guy has folded to 3 out of 3 3-bets so far. But that said, ace king's too, it's just way too strong, and that sample size is way too small. I mean, it could have been interesting there because we have this player who's looking like they may be more aggressive now, this lonely girl, and Plymouth Fury, who definitely looks aggressive. That may have been a half decent opportunity to to call and go for the back raise there. But I decided not to. Instead, to just try and take some clean value, which I thought was there. Now, bearing in mind this guy has folded to all three bets so far, it does change his range slightly. But that said, we've got 2 overcards. We've got backdoor straight draw, and he folds 100% to c-bet. Sorry, 78% to c-bet so far. So I think in a vacuum against a player when I don't need to be balanced because he's bad, I think c-betting my ace-king there, he's going to be absolutely fine. I would check it back against a lot of regulars. Some other players I would check it back against who had quite a low fold to c-bet. So let's have a look at what's happening here. He's called our 3-bet, which when he doesn't normally call. He's called our c-bet when he doesn't normally call. I'm just going to bet fold my ace-king here, because I think there's definitely a good chance he can call with worse. If he check raises me, I just think he's going to have ace-jack, pocket jacks, pocket eights, pretty much all the time here. I don't think he has a hand like ace-queen, for example, very often, or ace-10. That doesn't fit with everything else that we know about the hand. So even though I've fired 2 barrels here with top pair, with a turn top pair, top kicker, just everything else about the guy who Overvoy suggests that he isn't into calling 3-bets too light out of position, or isn't into floating too light. So I think we have a clear value bet there on the turn, but when he raises, I think it'd be a pretty big mistake to stack off there, because unless we think he's always floating a hand like ace-queen or ace-10 there, and then always check raising it, or check raising it often, I think we can make a pretty exploitable bet fold there on the turn against this player. But yeah, I'm certainly open to people's thoughts on there. But that does show the value of something that I always talk about my students, which is planning your hand out, thinking in advance of how you're going to play the hand. And I hope I demonstrated that quite well in that hand there, where I decided to bet fold the turn before I made my bet, because had I not thought about how I was going to react to a raise, or if I hadn't expected the raise to sometimes come, or at least planned for it, there's every chance I may have made a mistake there and stacked off, or made a different decision that I would be less comfortable with when I went to review the hand. So you may disagree with my reasoning, but I think there's still a lot to be learned from at least how I thought about the hand and how I planned for the hand. So yeah, to talk about low volume grinding, I think I talked about it in previous videos, but I may not have done, about people. What's better for you as a poker player? Who are you as a poker player? Are you somebody who wants to make poker your main income? If you are, my videos will probably be good grounding for you. If you're currently a losing player or a break-even player, they will be a good grounding for you. But if you're wanting somebody to learn from, who, I'm just going to 3-bet the ace-queen. I'll come back to this point in a minute. Going to 3-bet the ace-queen here for value against somebody who I think could be bad. Don't know enough about him yet, but I'm getting the impression he might be bad. And just going to fall to the 4-bet. No problem with that. Yeah, if you want to go down the high volume, low win rate route, my videos can probably help you with some basic concepts if you haven't got them down yet. But if you're already, say, a 2 or 3 big blind winner playing Snap or Zoom or Rush, whichever, or Fast Forward, whatever site you play on, probably not going to learn too much from me. But if you are a semi-recreational player who plays poker mostly for fun, but actually likes the idea or the thought of being able to make a small income from it to help supplement your main income from your day job or however it is you make money, then what I do, the videos I make, the techniques I use, are probably going to be quite useful to you. I personally just used to talk a little bit about myself. I do have a part-time job. I work around 30 hours per week as a support worker, working with people that have learning disabilities or mental health problems. It's a very rewarding job. It's not particularly well paid, but because I have a poker income, it allows me to do that, and it gives me a quality of life that I'm really quite pleased with. I'll get back to this point in a minute. Let's just play this hand. This guy so far, this Johnny Kidd, he only raises 10% under the gun of 5% from middle position. I think we can make a tight four with King Queen there. I mean, there's every chance he is opening all pairs, and the sample size is just too small for us to know that yet. But I'm just going to base it on the information that we had there, which was he has a tight range under the gun. King Queen isn't going to do that well against it, particularly out of position. So yeah, I'm more than happy just to fold there. So yeah, to get back to what I do with poker, and what I think lots of people watching this video would like to do, maybe not the lads in the Eastern European countries that maybe watch this video, we live in countries where you can actually be making a living wage by just earning $500-600 per month. I'm talking more to the lads and lasses in the Western countries where $500 and $600 a month is a nice little bit of extra money coming in, but it's not going to get you through life. If you like the thought of just playing poker 2 to 4 tabling, static tables, not getting heavily involved in the levelling wars that go on with regulars in fast fold games, then my methods and my techniques could definitely be good for you. I tend to play between 2 and 4 tables because I'm making a video. I'm just doing this 2 tables now because I think aesthetically it's more pleasing. When I play 4 tables, I have overlap. It doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect anything at all. I can still see everything I need to see. But for making videos, it's not a good look. But I can have a win rate across 4 tables of mixing 50L and 100L. I can have a win rate of around 8 to 10 blinds 100. Quite comfortably when I'm game selecting well, when I'm putting myself in good situations, which yields me around $15 to $20 an hour from poker, which is more than enough for what I need. If I get anything from 60 to 80 hours per month in doing that, I'm significantly supplementing my income without really having a particularly stressful time doing it. If you are that person, if you do have a job, but you have 2 or 3 hours per night that you can commit to playing poker, but you don't particularly want to get into the hardcore grind, doing what I do is absolutely the thing for you. And table selecting, just playing maybe outside your bankroll slightly. I mean, I don't play outside my bankroll, but if you are just 2 to 4 tabling and you have say $1,000 in your bankroll, there's absolutely no problem for you to we'll go back and look at that hand in a moment. There's absolutely no barriers, no problem to you taking a few shots with your bankroll, as long as you're prepared to move up and down as and when your role dictates. Yeah, definitely give it a shot, because there's plenty of money to be made just 2 and 3 tabling if you're getting the game selection right, and if you know what you're doing against bad players. Because it's a very different way to play against a bad player than there is against a good player. It's almost like 2 different games almost. And I prefer to focus on playing with the bad players and just know enough about reg versus reg stuff to keep myself out of trouble. But let's go back and just review that hand, because these guys are having a little bit of chat about it too. So let's pull it up and see exactly what happened. Where are we at? So it looks like it was a little bit of blind versus blind. So we have a loose aggressive player opening under the gun. That 3-bet is really loose, and it's changing my opinion on this guy already, on Lovely Girl, because 3-betting 2 9s against Lovely Girl there, against I Can't Down. Yeah, fair enough, I Can Down is looking loose aggressive-ish, but I mean, under the gun 11% open. He needs to know that about his opponents. You need to know things like that. So the 3-bet, in my opinion, is way too thin. Then Plymouth View is cold, and then what happened? and the opener folded. And then he gets a pretty good flop, but you need to think about what Plymouth Fury's cold calling range is. He's a regular. He may not be a good regular. He looks like he may be a semi-bad aggressive regular. But that said, this board still is better for him than it is for us when we have 2 9s. He can absolutely have 2 jacks, 2 queens, 2 10s, 2 8s in his range. Yeah, it's not a good board to stack off on. That's for sure. We'll go back to that point in a moment. I'm going to just value bet my 2 queens against Overvoy. I'm going to just keep value betting 4 to a raise. So yeah, let's get back to this hand again because I think it's really quite interesting. So we have our villain. Look at that c-bet size too. We just go back. Sorry, he check call, so he didn't c-bet. So this guy's bombed pot here. And this guy, he really is quite aggressive. If we look at his post-flop stats, if I can do that, yes, I can. That donk gets 54%. He's got one with soft flop of 47%. What else do we know about him? It's the first time he's bet versus a missed c-bet was there. So yeah, he seems pretty aggressive, but we can't probably still consider check calling, but I think I would have preferred just to check fold at this point because are we really going to get to showdown? And when we have somebody who's bombing pot on this and we just have 2 9s, we have like an underpair and a good shot. Yeah, our equity isn't terrible. He can probably be doing this with some ace queen and some ace king that he didn't 3-bet pre-flop, but I think we've learned enough already to think, well, let's just get out of the way here. We only have 2 9s. It's not like we're getting bluffed off on, the top of our range here. So I think I would just fold. Our hero, lovely girl, decided to station it up and call, and then he just gone. Sorry, that went a little bit too quick, but he just went check shove on the turn. Which to me, that call seems really ambitious. I mean, let's just talk about Plymouth Fury for a moment. His cold call. And no offence to you, Plymouth Fury, if you watch this, you may have a read on somebody, but your cold call, to me, that cold call is atrocious pre-flop. It's not closing the action against someone with a tight under the gun range. So it's under the gun versus small blind. And we have a player who just decides to cold call with kind of like king 10 off. He's not even certain to see a flop. It's horrendous. And yeah, so this is another example of how players who look like they're going to be good, 28-23, it's 8% 3-bet, he looks good and aggressive, but then he's turning up with stuff like that, and you're just like, what nonsense is going on here? So yeah, overall, I think they both played that hand quite badly. And there's 2 regulars, so there's definitely money to be made from regulars if we know what we're doing. I'm going to squeeze here again and just hope to win the pot. We block this guy's 4-bet range with our ace a little bit. Ace 2 suited is going to play okay in a 3-bet pot. That's a good and bad flop for me. I have backdoors, and I think if I hit a 4, I'm probably going to be good. I'm going to c-bet here. I think, just checking how often this guy folds to c-bets in 3-bet pots. And so far he hasn't folded to 1 from a sample size of 2. But I think my hand's too weak to check call, so I'm just going to bluff with it. And obviously if he raises, they have a super easy fold. If he calls, there's some turn cards I can barrel. I can barrel an ace. I can barrel a 4, obviously. I can barrel a club. And I think when we squeeze here with the fish in the pot, I think our range is a little bit stronger than just a normal 3-bet here. I mean, this is putting him in quite a tough spot. If he has had like pocket 8s, pocket 7s here, pocket 9s, it's putting him really quite a tough spot. And yeah, it works. I think it's the first play we made that's actually worked in this video, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the session. I think we're getting some good content in. I would have called this race had Overvoy called, but because he hasn't, I'm just going to get out of the way. But there, just to finish off the point on two regulars, these guys both look like good players, and then we saw exactly what went down with the 2-9s and the King 10. And I have no idea what's caused that. For all I know, these guys may have some really sick dynamic against each other. I think we'll just go back and review the chat a second, see if we can learn anything from that. But the first thing I do not like that I've just seen there is this guy talking disparagingly about the weak player. That is, it's just idiotic. And it tells me that Plymouth Fury probably isn't thinking too critically about poker. He's probably, I mean, look what he's typing here. I mean, he's calling him a whale, he's saying he's played so much shit, he's getting lucky, etc. It tells me that this guy doesn't really understand how poker works. Yeah, he's bothered to learn a little bit about pre-flop and being aggressive, etc. But I mean, the way he played that hand was particularly fishy. And the way he's talking about the player at the table, that we all want to stay at the table and have a good experience. He's talking like that about him. It really tilts me. It really, really annoys me. If you are watching this, Plymouth Fury, please stop doing that. It is beyond stupid. And just think about what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve by doing that. You're just an idiot. There's no other way to describe you. You are an idiot, sir. I'm just going to continue. And this is a turn where I check folded to this guy earlier. I won't be check folding this turn. We have two pair. We have the flush draw. It's a very different situation. Even though when he does check raise me, I expect him to be strong. I think we have way too much going on there to ever consider folding. So we have a bad player who's limped into the pot. We've been isolated by this foreign guy who looks like he's probably some kind of weird short stacking regular. I'm going to call just to see if we can play a flop with Angelos. With 3-bet here by Daddy Works. I know this guy's Daddy Works is a very aggressive regular. He's made it too small. I'm definitely going to call. And flopping full houses is nice. If you see bets here, there's absolutely no reason to be raising. For obvious reasons, we have the board crushed. He's going to slow down a lot on the turn when we just call here. And I guess you could argue that raising might induce some spew, because what do I really represent when I raise here? In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think I will make a really small raise. Just because I don't think I rep anything. So I make a fishy looking raise. It might just induce him to... I think maybe making a fishy looking raise here actually may look a little bit weaker than calling does. And he does call. I mean, pocket queens has just got there, but I'm not going to be too concerned about that. Now it's just a matter of choosing a sizing. I'm not going to c-bet against this guy. It looks like he doesn't c-bet against Angelos. Now it's just a matter of choosing a sizing which allows us to get it all in comfortably. On the river, should he call again? If we bet 10 here, there'll be 44 in the pot and 27 left in his stack, which I think's going to set up stacks perfectly for a river jam. If we just have a hand like 2 kings or 2 aces here, I'm probably going to stack him all the time. But there's a good chance he's just going to fold 2. So yeah, if you've got this far in the video, I'm hoping that you're enjoying what you're seeing, hoping you're enjoying the content. This is my last week of warm-ups before I hopefully start making some videos for a website you may have heard of, which is grinderschool.com. I'm going to be a guest instructor there, and hopefully that's going to turn into a more long-term arrangement. So if you don't subscribe to Grinder School and you'd like to see more of my videos, please do subscribe to Grinder School. I'm still going to continue making content to post to Reddit and 2+2. But obviously with making videos for Grinder School too, it may mean I'm producing slightly less content for my YouTube channel, which would be a shame because I quite like my YouTube channel. I'm quite proud of what I've produced. But it's just we only have so much time in the week to do everything we want to do. So if you do have liked what you've seen and you are the type of player I talked about, which is a working guy or a working lady who plays quite a lot of poker. Let me see if I don't think I can call here because I think this guy's going to squeeze too late, so I think we just have a fold here. I could have 3-bet, but we just 3-betting recently. He didn't fold then. I've just been a little bit active with Daddy Works. My image might not be as clean as I'd like to get away with 3-betting a hand like 2 6s. So he opens 27% from the cutoff. Ace Jack is ahead of that range. Let's have a look at Johnny Kidd's squeezing. How often do you squeeze, Johnny? 12% from 33 opportunities. I'm going to call because I'll be comfortable calling a squeeze from Johnny. I think he squeezes enough where we can possibly call again with a hand like Ace Jack. And here against some guy who just c-bets 56%. How does he react to donk bets? We can just pull out quickly. Fall to donk bet only 33%, so I'm not going to donk into him. And I'm probably just going to check fold because he doesn't c-bet such a high percentage that I think we can check raise bluff here or consider check calling down. Just going to fold. So yeah, just to get back to my point that if you are watching this video and you play poker semi-seriously, but you know you've no desires to be a real hardcore grinder or professional poker player, but you play semi-seriously and you want to get better, hooking up with somebody like me is probably going to be quite useful to you because I understand exactly where you're at because I'm there. I'm doing exactly what you want to be doing, and I don't say that to be big-headed or arrogant, but if I can do it, I'm sure you can too. I'm not a particularly well-educated man. You know, there's nothing too difficult or hard to learn about what I'm doing with my poker. But that said, I am making a more than reasonable side income from it. That could be you too. If you want to be a hardcore, high volume professional poker player, then probably not for you. If you want to be a low volume, semi-serious poker player, then I'm probably exactly the man for you. So yeah, please do. If anything I've said has resonated with you, please do get in touch with me and see if we can do some work together. Right, so here we have a really interesting situation on table 2. I don't expect this guy to c-bet light very often, so if he does c-bet, I'm not going to raise. It can be really tempting to raise here, but we have top pair and a nut flush draw. But against his range for getting it in, we're usually just going to have a flush draw. So I'm happy to call flop, call turn, and then reevaluate the river. Because I don't think this player is going to be getting too out of line with his triple barrels when he gets called on this board. So what's his range here for c-betting the flop and then checking the turn? He can definitely have Ace Jack, I would imagine. He can probably have pocket kings too. Obviously, he's just a sort of player who's just stabbing once with his air because it's not the worst board in the world. He can represent a lot on it. I'm just going to fold the king 7. So it's whether I can get value from a bet here, and I don't think I can get too much value. So I'm just going to check back, and hopefully I was hoping to induce some stabs on the river from him. Oh, now I've weakened my range a little bit. And the problem is the hearts come, so it's going to make it harder to get called. So I'm just going to bomb it really hard and hope he's got a hand like Ace Jack or something like that that's just been started pot controlling. Because if he was in a bluff catching kind of mood with a hand like Ace Jack or maybe even ace king. If he's particularly passive, he can have ace king and play it similarly to that. Just try and get to showdown once he gets called. I want to make the most of his bluff catches there. I'm going to peel the 9-7 here, although I think I'm going to get squeezed a lot. But because I've got a chance to play a pot with the player that I want to play a pot with, I'm prepared to risk getting squeezed. And because this guy didn't squeeze, because Lovely Girl didn't squeeze here, I don't think he's going to have too many big aces in his range. So I'm just going to make a relatively small stab at the pot. Because I think this guy is Overvoy. He doesn't see it very often, so he can probably still have some strongish hands in his range, but I don't think Lovely Girl can. I think Lovely Girl would definitely squeeze there with the big ace, 2 aces, 2 queens. Obviously, it probably wouldn't squeeze with whatever the low card was on the board that would have made him a set, but I think there, the way that hand played out, I think stabbing there is going to be very profitable. I was about to call this min 3-bet on table 2 from Angelos when I can down called 4-bets, so I think we have a really easy fold. And I'm actually going to recategorise this player now, because I did have him at playing 30-25 when I was playing snap with him, but now his sample size is getting bigger. It definitely looks like he may just be a solid tag rather than the lag that I thought he was. And we can get rid of the smallish sample note too now as well. These are the notes I make when I'm playing Zoom, by the way, to help me gain reads on my opponents. So we can just update this now. I'm going to open the Queen 9 against Johnny Kidd. So yeah, I'm going to stop the video in a moment, because it's getting up to kind of the length of video that I like to make these days. I don't like to make them too long or too short, but I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed producing it. I've enjoyed talking what I've talked about, and I think it's the first time I've really talked about it at any length in the video, the type of players that I look to work with, I enjoy working with, and the types of players that I think I can help the most, which are semi-serious recreational players and beginners or new players who are looking to learn the fundamentals reasonably quickly before moving on to being maybe a high volume grinder. I can help those types of players. Again, if you are a 2 or 3 big blind 100 winner in a game like Zoom, probably not that much I can do for you. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk to you, but I think I'd be wasting your time by pretending I could help you, because you're probably going to be wanting to do different things, learn different techniques, the kind of thing that I'm comfortable doing myself, and I only really like to try and coach out the things I'm actually comfortable doing. I don't try and coach things out that I'm not that comfortable with. So yeah, if you do think that I could be the guy for you, please do not hesitate to get in touch. I'm working with around 15 players right now, which usually equates to around 4 or 5 hours coaching per week. So I definitely have room for more. So yeah, if you think you'd like to try a session with me, please do get in touch. If not, absolutely fine. Just take care, enjoy your poker. Until the next time, I'm going to say goodbye.